Recently, I saw a Twitch stream where Distant Coder and Farfa, two of Yu-Gi-Oh's biggest content creators, had a little debate about the price of Yu-Gi-Oh! If it was going up and if it was acceptable or if the cost needed to be lower. So I decided to hop on the YouTubes and give my own take. So let's just address the elephant in the room. Is Yu-Gi-Oh! Getting more expensive? Yes, and in multiple different ways. First of all, just in the most bare minimum way to explain it, the price of card packs has gone up. Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently increased the price of individual card packs by 20 cents, going from $3.99 a pack to $4.19. This is why if you attempt to enter an OTS championship or a regional, they will have you now pay $21 instead of $20 because of the 5 packs that you receive when you enter. You think about it, 20 cents a piece, 5 packs, you have an additional dollar that you have to pay. Additionally, cards in the secondary market are also more expensive. Konami a year or two ago, maybe 3 at this point, undid a limitation on the price of cards that could be sold in their events by their vendors. Initially, you could not sell a card for more than $100. It was incredibly hard to find a card that would ever be worth more than that. The rare exceptions would be like Sky Striker Engage and Dante of the Burning Abyss, but now, because there's no limitation on card prices, you will see staple meta-defining cards being sold for more than $100 on a regular basis. But is this all just blown out of proportion? Do they actually need to make the game cheaper, or is it fine how it is? They absolutely do need to make it cheaper. If you look at how Master Duel, their new simulator, has been performing, even though it's been consistently losing players and every YouTuber on the planet says that it's dying, it still, on both YouTube and Twitch, consistently outperforms the traditional card Yu-Gi-Oh! Game significantly. It's not even close. And this is just because of accessibility. The game is free to download. Even its garbage mobile app that basically no one plays anymore still gets played more and is watched more than the in-person card game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's simply because of one thing. It's the almighty free-to-play entry barrier. Even though there are microtransactions, just being able to try the game out and see if it's good is able to increase its player base significantly. More players, you have more customers, you have more publicity, you have a wider reach, and in the end it results in more money for the company. But the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game has kind of shot itself in the foot because its price is just simply too high. I've talked to so many Master Duel players, and they have told me that they really want to get into the IRL card game Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it's just too expensive, and so they have to stick to Master Duel. There are so many good players that just don't play the game in person because it's too expensive. They can just stick to bodying people on Master Duel. They can take the money that they would enter tournaments for and buy cards for, and they can buy a subscription to twitch.tv/decade because he runs tournaments that you can win actual money for in a free-to-play game. So what's the solution? How do they make the game cheaper? How do we make Yu-Gi-Oh! More affordable? Well, I mean, there's 5 trillion gazillion different ways, but I'll list off a couple of the really brain-dead easy ways that they could definitely lower the price of the game. Starting off with their core sets. Now, core sets are constructed of different rarities: secret rares, ultra rares, super rares, and commons. Currently, right now, the rarity ratios for each booster box, which contains 24 packs, is ridiculously skewed. It is very much filler and not as much about the high rarity cards. You have 2 secret rares, 4 ultra rares, and 18 super rares, and I'm sure you can guess the secret rares and ultra rares are the more expensive cards in the game. A very simple way to do this would be to simply just double the amount of secrets and ultra rares. This is good from a manufacturing standpoint. You don't have to change too much just kind of manipulate a few numbers, and it's pretty much going to do everything on its own. If you have 4 secret rares, 8 ultra rares, and 12 super rares in a booster box, you are doubling the number of high rarity cards in the game, and because of that, their price is going to decrease due to supply and demand and all that. On top of that, you're just creating a better product that people are going to be more inclined to buy and spend money on. So really everyone wins in this scenario. And the other two things that they can definitely use to decrease the price of the game would be structure decks and OTS packs. Structure decks or even starter decks are just simply a cheap, normally $10, well, with the price increase it's actually $11 now. But it's just a simple pre-made deck. All the products are guaranteed, there's no packs involved, it's just a list of cards, you pay the money, you get the product, and it's a really good way to include much needed reprints that the game needs. But if you look at recent history, well, actually not so recent history even, you'll find that they are doing the opposite. They are taking good cards out of starter decks and they are replacing them with really awful cards. If you look at the recent Albaz Strike structure deck, it contained Ice Dragon's Prison in the Asian versions of that product, which is about a $10 or $15 card, but in the European and American versions of that product, they actually took out Ice Dragon's Prison and replaced it with Pinpoint Guard, which is a card that is literal pennies in value. If anything, they should be doing the exact opposite and taking good cards and replacing the bad cards with them in starter decks. It's the easiest way to offset the ridiculous market demand for a lot of the high rarity cards, and it offers people who want to get into the game on a budget an easy way to access the more needed cards to survive in the competitive meta. I mean, starter decks and structure decks are really like the ideal product that everyone wants to buy. Obviously, competitors want them because they get access to new decks and they also have access to reprints of already printed and expensive staple cards, but at the same time it's also something that Timmy's mom can order off of Amazon and throw some wrapper on to give him for his birthday. It's an incredibly underutilized product and it's such an easy way to just decrease the price of the game. I don't understand why they haven't done this already. The other method would be utilizing the OTS packs better. OTS packs are just simply a pack that you get if you enter a certain type of tournament. You get one for entry, which is really cool. It's great for casuals. And you also have the potential to get more packs if you do well in tournament. Unfortunately, these packs are awful. The packs are made up of completely reprinted cards. There are no new cards released in these packs. And so you would think that it is a good way to sort of get new cards reprinted and lower their price. But unfortunately, the only cards that ever get good reprints are the ultimate rares, the highest rarity, and they are so ridiculously hard to pull that they end up becoming the most expensive version of that card. Meanwhile, the super rares and commons are just complete garbage, unfortunately. It's honestly a better option to just sell the unopened pack itself on the secondary market, because unless you pull an ultimate rare, you basically have no way to profit. So what actually is a good price tag for Yu-Gi-Oh? That's hard to say because you have to factor in a lot of things. You obviously have the ban list, which is going to change the price of cards depending on how many copies you can play. You obviously have reprints, like we've mentioned earlier. There's future releases, which might contain new cards that change the meta, or you might have just more reprints, as we said earlier. So it's really hard to factor in a definite price, but it seems like $500 a year for basically any competitive deck is the respected, sort of agreed upon maximum. Unfortunately, the reality is it's nowhere close to that. If you want to build a deck, and let's say you want to play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, and you want to play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. These 2 cards are very common in the Yu-Gi-Oh meta. Those 6 cards alone would cost you about $480, and we haven't even decided what deck we want to build yet. And this is another kind of weird heel of discussing the financial aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because of the ridiculous disparity in cards. Cards can go from 1 penny to $100 in a second. It's kind of volatile and it's hard to predict. And so my personal opinion is that they should reintroduce the selling price ceiling, but it should be $50. I don't see any reason why a card should be sold for more than $50 unless it is, you know, one of the ultimate rares from the OTS packs, or if it's the collector's rare or whatever alternate rarity they end up deciding to release something in. $50 I think is arguably the most fair price tag for a piece of shiny cardboard. And so there you go, that's my opinion, that's my knowledge on the current financial problems of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you guys think that the current price is fair? Do you think it should be more, less? How do you think they should do it? I want to know your opinions and just kind of create a dialogue. So thank you guys for watching, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.